She told me her son was spending Christmas with his real father, then accepted a Sydney transfer on my behalf without asking. Said if I didn't like it, I could divorce her. So I did both. Took the transfer and filed for divorce. By the time she called her lawyer panicking, it was already too late. My name is Dylan Hartwell. I'm 48 years old, and I'm a corporate attorney specializing in international mergers and acquisitions. For the last 12 years, I've built a career helping companies navigate complex restructures, offshore holdings, and asset protection strategies. Ironic, considering I never thought to protect myself. I married Stephanie 14 years ago. She came with a 5-year-old son named Blake, bright kid with his father's athletic build and his mother's sharp tongue. His biological father had walked out when Blake was 2, chasing some yoga instructor to Bali or Barcelona. I never cared enough to remember which. I stepped in, coached his little league teams, sat through every parent-teacher conference, paid for the private school that got him recruited by 3 Division I programs. I have 2 daughters from my first marriage. Claire, 20, is finishing her junior year at Georgetown Law. Maya, 16, still lives with us, quiet and observant in that way that makes you wonder what she's really thinking. Their mother passed when they were young. Cancer, swift and merciless. The warning signs were there, scattered like breadcrumbs I was too tired to follow. Stephanie started going to a business development coach named Richard. Her interior design consulting, which had been more Pinterest boards than actual clients, suddenly required evening strategy sessions. She bought new clothes, changed her perfume, started pronouncing certain words differently, like she was auditioning for a life I wasn't invited to. December 23rd. That's when it all crystallized. We were having dinner, just the 4 of us. Maya had made her famous garlic bread, the kind that fills the house with warmth. Blake sat at the table, scrolling through his phone, probably looking at scholarship offers. Claire was home from school, helping set the table. Stephanie walked in last, phone in hand, that particular smile playing at her lips, the one that said she knew something you didn't. Blake spending Christmas with his real father, she announced, setting down the silverware with deliberate precision. The room went quiet, not the comfortable quiet of a family at peace, but the kind that precedes something breaking. I looked up from my plate. Excuse me. She didn't meet my eyes. His father reached out. They've been talking. Blake wants to spend the holiday getting to know him. Blake shifted in his seat, still not looking up from his phone. The kid I'd taught to throw a spiral, whose college applications I'd edited at 2 a.m., couldn't even look at me. We can discuss this, I said, keeping my voice level. Years of negotiating million-dollar deals teach you to control your tone, even when your world is tilting. Stephanie laughed, sharp and cold. There's nothing to discuss, Dylan. He's his father. Blake deserves to know his real family. Real family. The words landed like a slap. Claire's fork hit her plate with a clang. Mom, that's... It's fine, I said, raising a hand. Blake, is this what you want? Finally, he looked up. 17 years old, 6'2", with a full ride to play football at USC, and he couldn't hold my gaze for more than 3 seconds. Yeah, he muttered. I mean, I should get to know him, right? Maya pushed back from the table without a word and walked upstairs. I heard her door close, gentle but final. I turned back to Stephanie. And where is this reunion happening? He has a cabin in Colorado. We'll drive up tomorrow. Her smile widened, and in that moment, I saw it clearly. This wasn't about Blake reconnecting with his father. This was about her reclaiming something she thought she'd lost. And I was the collateral damage. I'm going too, she said, to make sure Blake's comfortable. And Dylan, if you have a problem with any of this, you should know I took the Sydney transfer. My firm had been trying to get me to relocate to our Australian office for 2 years. Senior partner position, massive salary bump, complete relocation package. I turned it down twice. For her. For stability. For the family. You what? The words came out quieter than I intended. I called Harrison this afternoon. Told him you'd accept. They're thrilled. You start February 1st. She stood. Gathering her plate like this was just another dinner conversation. We'll be back after New Year's, she said. You can start packing. I sat there, watching her walk away, Claire staring at me with wide eyes, Blake still glued to his phone like none of this mattered. And that's when I made my decision. I didn't yell, didn't argue. I simply stood, walked into my study, and closed the door. The job offer from Sydney was still in my email, marked unread for 18 months. But there was another message, one I'd archived 6 months ago when things first started feeling off. A private investigator's final report. I opened it and began to read. Every late-night strategy session, every lie about working late, every hotel receipt from business trips that never appeared on any company calendar. Then I opened my laptop and started making calls. 3 time zones away, the sun was already rising in Luxembourg. My estate planning attorney answered on the second ring. "Dylan," he said, "it's been a while. I need to activate the contingency protocols," I said. "All of them." There was a pause. "Are you certain?" I looked at the family photo on my desk. Stephanie smiling, Blake in his football uniform, my daughters on either side of me. It had been taken 2 years ago. We all looked so happy. "Completely," I said. "Consider it done." I hung up and sat in the silence of my study. Upstairs, I could hear Stephanie packing. In the driveway, Blake was probably loading the car. They thought I was the kind of man who would just take this. The steady provider. The reliable stepfather. The one who'd never push back. They were about to learn otherwise. They left before dawn. I heard Stephanie's heels clicking on the hardwood, Blake dragging his duffel bag down the stairs. The Range Rover's engine rumbled to life in the driveway, and then they were gone. I didn't go to the window to watch. I was already on my 3rd cup of coffee, sitting at my desk with 3 laptop screens running and my phone on speaker. "The trust restructure is complete," my Luxembourg attorney said, his accent clipping the words precisely. "All assets previously held in joint tenancy have been reclassified under the Hartwell Family Trust, with you as sole trustee and beneficiary administrator. And the house transferred to a subsidiary holding company this morning at 4 a.m. Eastern. The deed shows Hartwell Properties LLC as owner. Your wife's name appears nowhere in the documentation." I took a sip of coffee. "What about the vehicle? Corporate lease under your firm's name. I've instructed the leasing company not to renew when the term expires next week." "Good. What else?" He paused. "Dylan, I must ask, are you certain about this course of action? Once we proceed to the next phase." "I've never been more certain of anything," I said, cutting him off. "Continue." Maya appeared in the doorway, still in her pajamas, holding her phone. "Dad, did Mom really sign you up for Sydney without asking?" I gestured for her to come in. She sat in the leather chair across from my desk, the one where clients usually sat when I explained why their merger was falling apart. "She did," I said. "That's messed up." "It is. So what are you going to do?" I looked at my daughter, 16 years old, already sharper than most people twice her age. "I'm going to accept the position," I said. "I'm flying out Tuesday to finalize the arrangements." Her eyes widened. "Wait, really? But what about your mother and Blake?" I finished. "They'll figure it out." "Dad, I don't understand." "You will," I said. "In the meantime, I need you to do something for me. Pack a bag. Just essentials. You're staying with Claire at her apartment in Georgetown until I get back." "Why can't I stay here?" "Because this house is about to get very complicated, and I need you somewhere safe." She studied my face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay," she said. "But Dad, whatever you're doing, I hope she deserves it." I smiled, the first real smile I've felt in months. "She does, sweetheart. She absolutely does." The flight to Sydney was 13 hours of uninterrupted planning. Business class, noise-canceling headphones, and 3 encrypted calls to attorneys across different time zones. My firm's managing partner, Harrison Cole, met me at the airport himself. 62 years old, silver hair, the kind of handshake that still meant something. "Dylan," he said, gripping my hand. "I have to admit, I'm surprised. When Stephanie called last week, I thought she was joking. She wasn't. But you've turned this position down twice. What changed?" I looked him straight in the eye. "My priorities." He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Well, we're damn glad to have you. The office is ready, the contracts are drawn up. We can finalize everything this afternoon." "Actually," I said, "I need to make a few modifications to the standard relocation package." "What kind of modifications?" "I need the corporate housing to be registered solely in my name, not joint tenancy. I need the vehicle allowance to be a direct lease to me, not a family plan. And I need the signing bonus to be deposited into an account I'll specify." Harrison's eyebrows rose slightly. "That's unusual. I'm in an unusual situation." "I see." He paused. "Dylan, is everything all right with you and Stephanie?" "It will be," I said. once the paperwork is finalized. He didn't press further. 20 years in corporate law teaches you when to ask questions and when to just process the request. We spent the afternoon in the Sydney office, 43rd floor, harbor views that would have taken Stephanie's breath away. I signed contract after contract, each one carefully structured to ensure that nothing, absolutely nothing, could be claimed as marital property. That evening, I video called Claire from my hotel room. "How's Maya?" I asked. "She's fine. We ordered Thai food and watched terrible reality TV. She hasn't asked too many questions. She will." "I know. Dad, what exactly are you doing?" I leaned back in the chair. "Do you remember what I taught you about asset protection in divorce proceedings?" Claire's expression shifted. She was in her 3rd year of law school, top of her class in corporate litigation. "You're invoking the premarital capital clause," she said, "among other things. Does Mom know?" "Not yet, but she will soon." "How soon?" "I've been gone 3 days. The trust administrator visits her tomorrow." Claire was quiet for a moment. "Dad, I know she hurt you, but this is scorched earth." "No," I said. "Scorched earth would be vindictive. This is just legally accurate. Everything I'm taking back was mine before she ever touched it. The house, the investments, the accounts. I built safeguards years ago when I started noticing the distance between us." She signed every document I put in front of her without reading a single word. "Because she trusted you. Because she didn't care enough to pay attention. There's a difference." My daughter sighed. "What about Blake?" "That one hurt. I won't pretend it didn't. Blake made his choice," I said. "He's got a scholarship. His father can figure out the rest." "That's cold. That's survival." After I hung up, I stood at the window and looked out at the Sydney harbor. The Opera House was lit up against the night sky, beautiful and completely indifferent to the small human dramas playing out in hotel rooms across the city. My phone buzzed. A message from my Luxembourg attorney. Trust representative made contact. Documents delivered. Waiting for response. I typed back, "Keep me updated." Then I ordered room service and went over the employment contract one more time, making sure every clause was ironclad. Because in about 12 hours, Stephanie was going to realize that the man she married, the one she thought was too passive to fight back, had just rearranged her entire life without her permission. Just like she'd done to me. Stephanie's lawyer called her on December 28th at 3:47 p.m. Mountain Time. I know because my attorney forwarded me the phone records later. I also know because Claire called me immediately after, barely able to contain herself. "Dad, you need to hear this," she said. "Maya recorded it." "Recorded what?" "Mom's phone call. She was on speaker in the kitchen. Maya had her phone out. I should have told her that was inappropriate, that we needed to take the high road. Instead, I said, 'Send it to me.' The audio file arrived 90 seconds later. I put on my earbuds and pressed play. Stephanie's voice came through first, casual, unconcerned. "Hello. Stephanie, it's Richard Paulson, your attorney." "Oh, hi, Richard. What's going on?" "I'm actually at dinner right now." A pause. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Tight. Strained. "Stephanie, I need you to sit down. Are you somewhere private?" "I'm at a restaurant with Blake and, well, with someone." "What's this about?" "It's about the house. And the accounts. And Stephanie, I need to ask you something very directly. What exactly did you let Dylan do?" Background noise. Plates clinking. Stephanie's laugh, sharp and dismissive. "What are you talking about?" "Dylan's in Sydney. He's been there all week." "Yes. And while he's been there, he's been very busy." "Stephanie, do you remember signing trust documents back in 2019? After you refinanced the house?" "Vaguely. There was a lot of paperwork. Dylan handled most of it." "Did you read what you signed?" "Richard, I don't understand what this." "The house is gone, Stephanie." Silence. Just restaurant noise in the background. "What do you mean gone?" "I mean it's no longer in your name. It's not in Dylan's name either. It's held by a trust entity, and you're not listed as a beneficiary. According to the documents you signed, Dylan has sole discretionary control. He transferred it to a subsidiary holding company on Christmas Eve." "That's impossible. My name is on the mortgage." "Your name was on the mortgage. The trust paid it off in full 3 days ago using funds from an account you also signed over control of without realizing it." More silence. Then Stephanie's voice, smaller now. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that every major asset you thought was jointly owned is now under Dylan's exclusive control. The house, the investment accounts, the cars. Even the checking account you've been using. It's all been legally restructured. He can't do that. We're married. California is a community property state, not for premarital assets. And Stephanie, according to the documentation, virtually everything was purchased with Dylan's premarital capital. Money he earned before you were married, or money that can be traced directly back to those original funds. You signed a post-nuptial agreement in 2016 that waived your rights to any of it. I never signed. Her voice broke off. Oh God, you remember now. He said it was for estate planning. For his daughters. In case something happened to him. He said it was just to protect them. It was from you. A sound like a chair scraping. Stephanie's breathing, quick and shallow. Richard, fix this. That's what I pay you for. Fix it. Stephanie, I can't fix what you signed away. I'm looking at the documents now, and they're airtight. Dylan's been planning this for years. Every signature, every notarization, every witness statement. It's all legitimate. Then sue him. Claim duress or fraud or... On what grounds? That you didn't bother to read legal documents before signing them? That you trusted your husband? No judge is going to... The line went dead. Stephanie had hung up. I sat in my Sydney hotel room, listening to silence, and felt absolutely nothing. No satisfaction. No guilt. Just the cold clarity of a plan executed perfectly. My phone rang. Claire, did you listen to it? She asked. I did. Dad, she's freaking out. Maya said she locked herself in the bathroom at the restaurant. Blake had to get her out. Is she okay? Physically? Yes. Emotionally? I think you just destroyed her. No, I said quietly. She destroyed herself. I just documented it. Stephanie came back to Denver on January 2nd. No warning call. No text asking if I'd be home. She just showed up. I was already back from Sydney, sitting in my study when I heard the garage code fail 3 times. Then the front door opening. Her keys still worked for now. Dylan. Her voice echoed through the house, uncertain in a way I'd never heard before. I didn't answer, just waited. She found me in the study, looking exactly like someone who'd spent a week in a luxury cabin should look. Tanned, rested, wearing clothes I'd never seen before. Expensive clothes. We need to talk, she said. I gestured to the chair across from my desk, the same one Maya had sat in 2 weeks ago. Stephanie sat slowly, her eyes scanning the room. The family photos were gone, replaced with law books and framed certificates. My diplomas. Awards from cases I'd won. Where's Maya? She asked. With Claire. In Georgetown. You sent her away. I sent her somewhere stable. I corrected. This house is about to get complicated. She leaned forward, hands clasped. Dylan, Richard called me. My lawyer. He said things about the house, about our accounts. He said you've been moving assets around. I haven't moved anything. I've simply claimed what was always mine. Her face flushed. That's not how marriage works. Isn't it? Because that's exactly how you treated our marriage when you accepted a job transfer on my behalf without asking. When you told Blake I wasn't his real father. When you decided my career and my life were yours to manage. I was trying to help you. You've been stalling on that Sydney position for years. Because I thought we had a life here worth preserving, I said. Turns out I was wrong. She stood abruptly. Fine. You're angry. I get it. But you can't just lock me out of everything we built together. Together. I opened a drawer and pulled out a folder. Thick, organized, tabs color-coded. Let me show you what we built together. I slid it across the desk. She opened it hesitantly. That's the house, I said. Purchased in 2011 with money from a trust my grandmother left me. Paid in full in 2019 using dividends from investments I made before we met. You never contributed a single dollar to the principal or the property taxes. I pulled out another document. This is the Range Rover. Corporate lease through my firm. Your name appears nowhere on the contract. Another document. Joint checking account. Funded entirely by my salary. Your interior design business has generated exactly $12,000 in revenue over 14 years. Total. She was staring at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. You signed a post-nuptial agreement in 2016, I continued. Do you remember that? You said it was to protect your daughters. It was. From exactly this situation. You waived all rights to any property purchased with my premarital assets. You signed it, Stephanie. You notarized it. You can't claim you didn't know. Because I trusted you. No, I said quietly. Because you didn't care enough to read what you were signing. Just like you didn't care enough to ask before rearranging my entire career. Just like you didn't care that Blake calling his biological father real family would gut the man who raised him. She sank back into the chair, face pale. What do you want from me? She whispered. Nothing, I said. I want nothing from you, Stephanie. I want you to leave. This is my house. No, it's not. You have 10 days to remove your personal belongings. After that, anything left will be donated. You can't do this. I leaned back in my chair. I already have. Blake called me on January 4th. I was in the middle of a conference call with the Sydney office, finalizing my start date. I let go to voicemail. He called again an hour later. Then again. On the fourth call, I answered. What is it, Blake? Silence on the other end. Then his voice, smaller than I'd heard it in years. My scholarship got canceled. I felt my stomach drop despite myself. What happened? I don't know. The coach called yesterday. Said there were some issues with my paperwork. Something about my guardian signatures not being valid anymore. I closed my eyes. The scholarship applications. I'd signed as his legal guardian, filed the FAFSA as his parent, listed him as my dependent for tax purposes. All of that was changing now. Blake, I'm not your legal guardian anymore. I filed papers last week to terminate the arrangement. You're 18 in 3 months. Your mother can sign as your parent, or your biological father can. My dad doesn't want to. He said college is a scam anyway, and Mom is freaking out about money. She can't afford to pay for anything. That's unfortunate. A pause. That's it. That's all you're going to say. What do you want me to say, Blake? That I'll fix this? That I'll keep pretending to be your father while you spend holidays with the real one? I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. You sat at that table and didn't say a word when your mother told me I wasn't family. You went to Colorado without a second thought. You made your choice. Because he's my dad. Biologically, yes. But I'm the one who taught you to throw. I'm the one who drove you to every practice, every game. I'm the one who stayed up until 2 a.m. helping you write your college essays. And Blake, I'm the one who paid for the private coaching that got you recruited in the first place. $15,000 over 3 years. Silence. Your real father can pay for college, I said. Or you can take out loans like millions of other students. Or you can get a job. But Blake, I'm done being convenient. Please, he said, and his voice split. I'm sorry. I didn't know she was going to say all that. I didn't know you'd leave. I didn't leave. I was pushed out. There's a difference. Can we talk? In person. I thought about it. About the kid who used to fall asleep on my shoulder during car rides home from games. About teaching him to drive, watching him grow from a small boy into someone headed for Division I football. No, I said. We can't. Why not? Because you need to learn something, Blake. You don't get to have it both ways. You don't get to chase the fantasy of your biological father and keep me as the backup plan. You made a choice. Live with it. I hung up before he could respond. Maya called me 10 minutes later. Dad, Blake just called me crying. I know. He lost his scholarship. I know that too. Are you going to help him? I stared out my office window at the Denver skyline. Snow was starting to fall, soft and relentless. No, I said. Dad, he's just a kid. He made a mistake. He's 18 years old. Old enough to choose his father. Old enough to live with the consequences. That's harsh. That's reality, sweetheart. I spent 12 years being his father. Your mother spent 12 years letting me. And the moment it became inconvenient, they both decided I was expendable. So now, Blake gets to find out what life looks like without me in it. Maya was quiet for a long moment. I'm proud of you, she finally said. For what? For not letting them walk all over you anymore. After we hung up, I sat in the silence of my office and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not happiness. Not satisfaction. Just the quiet certainty that I'd done the right thing. Maya's high school held its winter award ceremony on January 10th. Academic honors, athletic achievements, the kind of event that usually filled the auditorium with proud parents holding phones to record every moment. I flew back from Sydney specifically for it. Maya had been nominated for the Principal's Excellence Award, the highest honor a junior could receive. Stephanie showed up too. I saw her from across the auditorium, sitting 3 rows from the front, wearing the pearl necklace I bought her for our 10th anniversary. She looked composed, put together, like the last 2 weeks hadn't happened. Blake wasn't with her. The ceremony proceeded through various categories. Basketball MVP, debate team captain, national merit semifinalists. Then they called Maya's name. She walked to the stage in a navy dress Claire had helped her pick out, shoulders back, confident. The principal handed her the award and asked if she wanted to say a few words. Maya took the microphone. "I want to thank my teachers for pushing me to do better," she began. "My sister Claire for helping me with my college applications. And my dad for showing me what it means to stand up for yourself, even when it's hard." She looked directly at me. Not at Stephanie. At me. "My dad taught me that love isn't just about showing up," Maya continued. "It's about being honest. About having integrity. About not letting people treat you like you're replaceable. So thank you, Dad, for everything." The applause was thunderous. I stood, along with most of the auditorium. When I glanced over, Stephanie was sitting perfectly still, face pale, hands gripped tight in her lap. After the ceremony, parents flooded the lobby for refreshments and photos. Maya found me near the coffee table. "You didn't have to do that," I said, pulling her into a hug. "Yes, I did. Mom's been texting me nonstop, saying you're being cruel, that you're tearing the family apart. I wanted everyone to know whose side I'm on." "There don't have to be sides, sweetheart." "Yeah, there do. She made them when she decided you weren't good enough." Over Maya's shoulder, I saw Stephanie approaching. She looked smaller somehow, less certain than the woman who'd announced her Aspen trip like it was a done deal. "Dylan, can we talk?" she asked. "Not here. Please. Just 5 minutes." Maya squeezed my hand and walked away to join some friends. I turned to face my wife fully. "What is it, Stephanie?" "Blake called me yesterday. He's devastated about the scholarship." "I imagine he is. Can't you do something?" "Call the coach. Explain that it was a misunderstanding." "It wasn't a misunderstanding. I terminated my legal guardianship. I'm no longer responsible for him in any official capacity. The scholarship required a parental signature. His mother can provide that. Or his real father can." She flinched at the emphasis. "His father won't. He says college is a waste of money. Then Blake can take out student loans. Get a part-time job. There are options. He shouldn't have to struggle because you're angry at me." I looked at her carefully. "Blake isn't struggling because I'm angry. He's struggling because actions have consequences. You wanted him to know his real father. Congratulations. Now his real father gets to be responsible. That's not fair to Blake." "What's not fair," I said quietly, "is spending 12 years raising a boy, loving him like he was mine, paying for everything from braces to football camps, only be told I'm not real family. What's not fair is being erased the moment something shinier came along." Stephanie's eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "Yes, you did. Can we fix this? Go to counseling? Figure out how to move forward?" I thought about that. About the years we'd spent building a life together. About the moments that had been good before they turned sour. "No," I said. "We can't. Because, Stephanie, this isn't about one mistake. It's about a pattern. About you making decisions that affect my life without consulting me. About you treating me like I'm convenient until I'm not. I love you. Maybe you do. But you don't respect me. And I can't live with someone who doesn't respect me." She reached for my hand. I pulled away. "The divorce papers will be filed next week," I said. "Your attorney already has the details. I suggest you read them this time." I walked away before she could respond, found Maya waiting by the exit, and we left together. In the car, my daughter was quiet for a long time. "Do you still love her?" she finally asked. I thought about it. About the woman I'd married 14 years ago. The one who'd seemed kind and warm and ready to build something together. "I love who I thought she was," I said. "But that person doesn't exist anymore. Maybe she never did." Maya nodded slowly. "Good. Because you deserve better, Dad. So do you, sweetheart." We drove home in comfortable silence, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Stephanie called me on January 15th, voice tight with panic. "Dylan, something's wrong with my credit cards. All of them are declining." I was in a meeting with my Sydney transition team. I stepped into the hallway. "That's because I removed you as an authorized user from all my accounts." "You what?" "You were never a primary cardholder, Stephanie. You were authorized to use my cards. I revoked that authorization last week." Silence. Then, quieter. "I can't even buy groceries." "You have your own bank account. The one with the $12,000 from your interior design business. That's not enough to live on. Then I suggest you get a job. A real one." "Dylan, please. I know you're angry, but you can't just cut me off completely." "I'm not cutting you off. I'm simply removing access to money that was never yours to begin with. There's a difference. This is financial abuse. I almost laughed. No, Stephanie. Financial abuse will be controlling money you earned. This is me protecting money I earned from someone who's been spending it without my consent. Did you think I didn't notice the $8,000 charge at that boutique in Aspen? Or the $1,500 dinner at that restaurant? She didn't answer. You've been living beyond your means for years, I continued. My means? That stops now. What am I supposed to do? Figure it out. You're a 46-year-old woman with a college degree. Get a job. Apply for your own credit card. Build your own financial life. No one will approve me. My credit score is tied to yours. Actually, it's not anymore. I had our credit histories separated last week. Your score is now based entirely on your own financial behavior, which, as it turns out, isn't great. I could hear her breathing, sharp and uneven. I checked, I said. Your score dropped from 780 to 520 in 1 week. That's what happens when all your positive credit history was actually mine. You planned this. All of it. I prepared for this. There's a difference. You made the choices, Stephanie. I just made sure there was a record of them. I hate you. That's fine. You can hate me from whatever apartment you can afford on your own. You have 2 weeks left to move out. I hung up and returned to my meeting. That evening, Claire called. Dad, I need to tell you something. About Mom's jewelry. What about it? She tried to sell it today. The diamond earrings you gave her for Christmas 3 years ago. The sapphire bracelet from your anniversary. She took them to a jeweler in Georgetown. And they're not real. Well, they are, but they're not worth what she thought. The jeweler said they're good quality cubic zirconia and lab-created stones. Worth maybe $200 total. I smiled despite myself. I know. You knew. I replaced the real stones 2 years ago when I first noticed her pulling away. The real jewelry is in a safety deposit box. For you and Maya. Claire laughed, sharp and surprised. Dad, that's savage. That's prepared. She must have freaked out. I imagine so. Though I'm sure her lawyer already told her she has no claim to them anyway. Because of the post-nup? Exactly. Any gifts given during the marriage revert to the giver in the event of divorce if they were purchased with premarital funds. Which all of them were. My daughter was quiet for a moment. You really thought of everything, didn't you? I had a lot of time to think while she was busy with Richard the business coach. Do you feel bad about any of this? I consider the question honestly. No. I feel relieved. Like I finally stopped carrying a weight I didn't realize was crushing me. Good. Claire said firmly. She deserves everything she's getting. After we hung up, I poured myself a whiskey and sat in my study. On my desk was a photo of Blake from 5 years ago, holding his first football trophy. I'd coached that team, taught those boys to work together, to trust each other. I picked up the photo and put it in a drawer, not throwing it away, just putting it somewhere I wouldn't have to look at it every day. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes respect matters more, and I was done settling for anything less. The divorce was finalized on February 14th, Valentine's Day. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. We met in a conference room downtown, attorneys on both sides, documents spread across a mahogany table that probably cost more than Stephanie's new apartment. She looked different. Thinner, older somehow. Hair pulled back in a simple ponytail instead of the elaborate style she used to favor. Clothes from Target instead of Nordstrom. Her attorney, Richard Paulson, did most of the talking. My client is requesting spousal support, he began. Given the length of the marriage and her current financial situation, my attorney, Sarah Winters, didn't even look up from her notes. Denied. The postnuptial agreement signed in 2016 explicitly waives all spousal support claims. Your client had independent legal counsel review that document before signing. She was under duress. She was in a Starbucks at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. We have the notary's testimony. No duress. Richard tried again. Then we're requesting division of marital assets acquired during the marriage. Sarah slid a document across the table. All assets were purchased with funds traceable to Mr. Hartwell's premarital accounts or inheritance. Per the postnup, your client has no claim. I watched Stephanie's face as the reality settled in. 14 years of marriage, and she was walking away with exactly what she'd brought into it. Nothing. What about the house? Richard asked, desperation creeping into his voice. Transferred to a trust on December 24th. Mrs. Hartwell signed the trust documents in 2019. She has no claim. The cars, corporate leases, not marital property, the retirement accounts, premarital contributions with documented growth, protected under the agreement. Richard sat back, defeated. Stephanie stared at the table, silent. Is there anything my client is entitled to? Richard finally asked. Sarah consulted her notes, her personal belongings, her vehicle, once she secures her own insurance and registration, and the $12,000 currently in her business account. Stephanie's voice came out small and broken. That's it, Sarah confirmed. Stephanie looked at me for the first time since we'd sat down. You really planned this? All of it? For years? I protected myself, I said quietly, from exactly this scenario. The scenario where you decided I was disposable. I never said that. You didn't have to. You showed me every time you made decisions about my life without asking. Every time you chose something else over our marriage. Every time you treated me like I was too weak to fight back. Her eyes filled with tears. I loved you. Maybe. But you didn't respect me. And Stephanie, I needed both. Richard cleared his throat. Mr. Hartwell, my client would like to request one thing. Not legally, but as a courtesy. Blake's college situation. If you could see your way to. No, I said. Blake has a father. He chose to reconnect with him. His father can handle his education. His father won't. Then Blake will figure it out like millions of other students. Student loans. Part-time work. He's resourceful. He'll manage. Stephanie's voice shook. He was your son for 12 years. And you made it very clear he wasn't my real son. So his real father can be responsible now. She looked away, crying silently. Sarah handed me a pen. Mr. Hartwell, if you'll sign here. Mrs. Hartwell here. This finalizes everything. I signed without hesitation. Stephanie's hand trembled as she signed her name. That's it then, Richard said quietly. You're divorced. I stood. Sarah, make sure Mrs. Hartwell receives copies of all the documents. Already arranged. I looked at Stephanie one last time. I hope you find whatever it was you were looking for. I really do. Then I walked out of the conference room and didn't look back. In the elevator, Sarah turned to me. That was one of the cleanest divorces I've ever handled. You really did think of everything. I had a good teacher. My first divorce attorney taught me to document everything and trust no one. Your first wife died. But before that, we had some rough patches. I learned my lesson then. The elevator doors opened to the lobby. Outside, February sun was breaking through the clouds. What's next for you? Sarah asked. Sydney, my daughter's. A life that's actually mine. Sounds like a good plan. I walked out into the Denver afternoon, pulled out my phone, and called Claire. It's done, I said when she answered. How do you feel? I thought about it. About the man I'd been 6 months ago, tolerating disrespect because confrontation seemed hard. About the man I was now, standing in the sunshine with a future that belonged entirely to me. Free, I said. I feel free. For months later, I stood in my new office in Sydney, 43rd floor, overlooking the harbor. The opera house gleamed white in the afternoon sun. Ferries crisscrossed the water like patient insects. Maya was enrolled at an international school, already making friends and complaining about the Australian accent being confusing. Claire had applied for a semester abroad program in Melbourne, studying comparative international law. My phone buzzed. A text from Blake. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted you to know I got into community college. Working part-time at a warehouse to pay for it. Football's done, but that's okay. I'm figuring it out. I'm sorry for everything. I understand if you never want to talk to me again. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let him experience the full weight of his choices. But the larger part, the part that had spent 12 years teaching him to throw a spiral and helping him with homework, couldn't completely let go. I typed back, proud of you for taking responsibility. Keep me updated on how classes go. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, just acknowledgement that he was trying. Maya appeared in my office doorway, backpack slung over one shoulder. Ready to go, Dad? You promised we'd check out that beach you keep talking about. Bondi. Yeah, that one. I grabbed my jacket. Let's go. In the elevator, she leaned against me. Do you miss Denver? Sometimes, but not as much as I thought I would. Do you miss Mom? I consider the question honestly. I miss who I thought she was. But that person either never existed or stopped existing a long time ago. That's sad. Maybe. But it's also honest. And sometimes honesty is more important than nostalgia. We walked out into the Sydney afternoon, the sun warm on our faces, the smell of salt air mixing with city exhaust. "Dad," Maya said as we headed toward my car. "Yeah. Thanks for not being weak. For showing me that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away." I pulled her into a side hug. "You never have to thank me for that, sweetheart. But you're welcome." That evening, I sat on the balcony of my apartment, overlooking the harbor, drinking coffee that was too expensive but somehow worth it. My phone rang. "Claire, calling from Georgetown. Just want to check in," she said. "Make sure you're surviving down under. More than surviving. Thriving. Good. You deserve it, Dad. After everything. So do you and Maya. Speaking of which, I transferred the education funds. You're both fully covered through graduate school if you want it. The money Mom tried to claim? The same. It was always for you girls. Now it's protected in a trust she can never touch." "What about Stephanie? What's she doing now?" "Last I heard, she's working retail. Living in a one-bedroom apartment. Blake's staying with his biological father, but that's apparently not going well." "Do you feel bad?" I watched the lights reflecting off the harbor water, the city alive and indifferent to small human dramas. "No," I said. "I feel relieved. Like I finally stopped carrying weight that was never mine to bear." "That's good, Dad. That's really good." After we hung up, I sat in the silence and thought about the man I'd been a year ago. The one who accepted disrespect because it seemed easier than demanding better. That man was gone, replaced by someone who understood a simple truth. You teach people how to treat you. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is refuse to accept anything less than respect. My phone buzzed one more time. An email from Sarah Winters, my divorce attorney. "Dylan, thought you want to know. Stephanie filed for bankruptcy last week. Richard says she's struggling but learning. Wanted to pass it along. Hope Sydney is treating you well." I read it twice, then deleted it. Her struggles weren't my concern anymore. My daughters were. My career was. My future was. I raised my coffee cup to the Sydney skyline, to new beginnings and hard-won peace. Some stories don't end with reconciliation. Some end with boundaries, with self-respect, with the quiet knowledge that you did the right thing even when it hurt. This was one of those stories. And I was finally completely at peace with that.